Can we pass those around here? Thank you. Handout, love it. So we're live whenever you guys want to get started. It's that bottom button that advances the slides. So Kelly, just introduce yourselves and take it away.
Good morning, I'm Kellie Kaufman.
I'm Saadia.
And we will be presenting on our community and junior student parking options. And just to preface, both of us are junior students, so we feel very passionate about this student life issue. Just a little bit about our agenda, so you know what we'll be talking about. First, we'll go over our audience, then our proposal, and then we'll tell you about the current parking on campus, as well as parking at similar schools. And then we'll address your possible concerns, and then talk about the implementation of our proposal, as well as the funding, and then we'll have some time for Q&A.
So who will be presenting to will be Dennis Franks. He's the Director of Campus and Safety. He oversees all of the parking on campus and the safety of students. The second one is Jody Booth, and he's the Senior Project Manager for Planning, Design, and Construction Management. And he manages all of the construction and new projects that will be happening on campus. Our proposal is to increase the sense of inclusivity among students. We think the university should expand commuter student parking options, whether it be allowing access to other lots or just building a new parking lot.
So before we take a look at this map, I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you have ever felt left out, unwelcomed, or kind of like an afterthought to someone? Whether we like to admit it or not, we've all definitely felt this way at some point, whether a friend doesn't get you a gift for Christmas or something like that. If I asked you to take a look at this and you didn't know, I'd say, where's commuter student parking? Could not find it. Let me help you out here. It's right over there in the new Charlotte. And if you take a closer look, it's not only just in this lot, it's this back furthest corner of the specific lot. And as most of you know, most of the classes happen in this general area, so that's pretty far from all the class buildings. And not only do commuter students have to, drive to campus, they then have to walk to class, so that can make a very long commute time to get to class. That takes time away from, working on classwork or studying. And at other universities, if you take a look at your handout, map A shows the parking for William and Mary, the College of William and Mary, and the little green dots are actually where commuter students can park. And William and Mary has about 6,200 undergraduates, which is close to our size, and they offer on-campus parking to these commuter students. And there are 24 lot options for these commuters. Elon basically has the one. And then Wake Forest is map B, and commuter students can park in the orange spaces, which, as you can see, is a very large amount of space for these commuter students as well. They're general parking lots, so like more than just them park there, but they're all around campus, probably by different academic buildings. And Wake Forest has 5,100 undergraduates, and they offer on-campus parking, off-campus parking, and there are 13 parking lots total for these commuter students.
So this slide is talking about Elon aiming to embody inclusion, and we found it ironic that on the school's website they talk about inclusion being one of their core values and how they encourage proactive behaviors to make sure every member in the community is included. But commuter students like myself and Kelly don't really feel as included in student life. One, like we already live off campus, and then with parking, we have a hard time finding parking, and we feel like expanding more commuter student options will help that sense of inclusivity among students. Reasons why we should expand community student parking, student inclusivity, like I've been saying, alumni donations. Elon is famous for naming buildings and parking spots after big alumni who donate to the university, and maybe building a new parking spot will be another opportunity for this. No uses of excess parking. It's a lot of different parking spots on campus that aren't really being used to like the full capacity. And we feel like if we open up, for a lot more access for commuter students for those parking spots, that will also help solve this problem. And, it encourages other forms of transportation among non-commuter students. Here are the audience concerns. One is sustainability, and more, of course, more parking lots reduce the green space on campus, but we believe that you don't really have to build more parking spots necessarily. You can just, allow more access to the lots. The cost is the excess amount of money, but like you said, alumni donations and gifts can help solve this also. Space is at a premium on campus, but we believe that, expanding like more space for parking lots will allow Elon to grow and accommodate to the growing population. And pushback from non-commuter students, they might feel unhappy that the university is accommodating non-commuter students' parking options compared to their parking concerns. But we feel like that they'll just be more inclined to use more Elon-sponsored transportation like the bio bus or walking, biking, or the Elon Share Rides program. Here I found an article that Elon News Network published last year, and they basically talked about how like the parking on campus is a struggle. And the first excerpt is from a student, and she talks about how there's not a lot of parking for students on campus, but for faculty and staff, there's plenty of parking, and how commuter students who live farther away, like Kelly was saying in the parking map slide, how it's an even bigger struggle for us with parking far away off campus and then having to find time to eat and then like find a way to class. The second one, it talks about how Elon's acceptance rate is growing so much and how we're having to build more on-campus housing and how we aren't really allotting more space for these on-campus students. So how would we find space for off-campus students if on-campus students can't find parking every day? And the third one talks about, it's from a faculty's point of view, and he talks about how he never has trouble finding parking spots, but probably students will definitely have that problem. And down here, he talks about how the East Gym is hardly ever used, and of course, that's part of our proposal about opening up parking spots that aren't really used to commuter students. Start with the right. The right is just like a graph of how our enrollment is growing over the years from 2014-15 school year to now, and you can see there's almost like a 500 increase in growth in the student enrollment. And the left just talks about, as of last year, there were 5,390 parking spaces, and that doesn't include the new addition of the Shar Center parking lot, where commuter students, that's the only option to park now this year. And in 2016, the school had a regulation with the town of Elon that amended to require one parking spot for each faculty member and one for every 2 students. And this is based on square footage, but our square footage is growing faster than our population, which means that there are more spots that are not being used, which doesn't really make sense for us not to use them. So we feel like that commuter students should definitely be allowed to use those extra spots.
So how will we implement the proposal? Option 1 is just to allow commuter students in other lots like Colonnades, Oaks, and there's an extra McMichael lot that was just constructed last year, I believe, that I drive by during the day sometimes, and there's not many people in that parking lot, which is much closer to the academic buildings. And this obviously takes no time or money other than, changing the signs and that kind of stuff. Option 2 is to construct a new lot if the first option doesn't work, if commuter students still don't feel welcome, or if there happens to be not enough parking spots. That would be anywhere from $12,000 to $200,000 for a 30 to 300 space lot, and it would take less than 2 months to construct this. And then option 3 would be to construct a parking garage. That's more of like a future idea, if they plan on the university to keep growing, which I know they do. With a smaller campus, it's important to have all those spaces for the growing population, and that would be obviously the most expensive, which would be $8.5 million, and that would take 18 to 24 months. we are asking for your support. What needs to happen is you need to change the commuter student parking areas for the spring of 2019 because it wouldn't take much processing or anything to just make that announcement. And then also, there are signs outside the lots labeling them and saying what permits can park there. Those just need to be updated so commuter students can park there. And afterwards, it's important to assess if this change made the commuter students feel any more welcome. And if that doesn't work, we can expand current parking lots or build a new one in a new area. That would be $20,000 plus, depending on how many spaces are added, from funding and the permit fees. I personally have no clue where the money goes from when students pay for these parking permits. They're $160 for the year, and I don't know where that goes. I tried to find it. Obviously we need a construction plan and a team, and afterwards a final assessment of community student inclusion just to see if the change was effective or not. Thank you for listening. Does anyone have questions?
Who's gonna start?
I'm not sure if I missed this, but what percentage of Elon students commute each day?
I believe the percentage of students that live off campus is 36%. Whether that be on the main road, Haggard, or I actually live like 10 minutes off campus. It's all over the road.
Thank you.
Does commuter students have to pay money for parking?
Yeah, I know, the parking permit for commuter students is $160. So yeah, it's kind of like a lot. I don't think that's most expensive. I'm not sure, but it's like a lot to pay, and when you barely have, parking on campus.
I think all the firms are the same price.
Correct.
Do you think as the student population continues to grow, and if they don't start making new spots, do you think they'll take away the privilege that freshmen to be able to park on campus? Because I know a lot of other campuses don't allow freshmen to have cars or first.
Yeah, I actually thought about that, but being at Elon is made up of so many people from, all over, especially the East Coast. A lot of people, would preferably drive than, take a plane or something to go home for break. But I feel like that's something they can't do. I just think they'd have to expand along with it rather than, take away.
Actually, going off that, freshmen told me that you have to live like 200 miles away from Elon to have a car on campus now. So they are starting to cut back because East only has so much parking. So, yeah.
Question, for both of you, so I'd love to hear both of your opinions. If you had better access on campus, how would that change how you take advantage of activities on campus during the day? Would you stay here all day? Would you leave in the middle of the day, to go do other things? Like, how would it benefit you to be feeling more inclusive and participating in other opportunities?
Yeah, so I've been trying, in the past few years here, to be involved in Elon News Network, which is not, around the time that I'm on campus. Normally, I plan out my schedule. This is my first semester on campus. I planned out my schedule and the next semester so that they're right back to back. My classes are back to back, and I can come I actually ride my bike to class, and then I go to my other class, and then I leave, rather than just, hanging around when I might not have work to do, or, I don't have a meal plan, so I don't really have anywhere to go other than, get a coffee or something. So I think it would help me being involved in, that activity, personal to myself.
I know this is also my first semester staying off campus, and I know last year, I felt like I went to way more Elon sponsored events on campus. We were always out just finding stuff to do. But it's like now I kind of just go to class. I'm athletes, have to go to study hall meet with my advisor sometimes, and I'm either going back to the gym or going back to my apartment. So I feel like if we had like closer parking or like more inclusive parking, that I'll be able to like stay and hang around on campus more. But it's like now, like if I'm in class, I'm worried about how like I'm about to get a ticket, like somewhere I'm parked, is my car about to get towed? So, you know, I have like less worry about that also.
Any other questions? Nice job. Well, I will give you a few minutes to, if you guys wanna sit down here and do your write-up. I've got extras here for you. So let's talk about, some of the things they did well. Checking time. Yes, Madeline?
I like how you could tell that they definitely did their research and like they covered like a lot of different like aspects, and you could tell like they did research on all of those aspects.
What research, comes to mind when you think about it?
Well, they had like a statistic about like when Kelly answered the question about the 36%, but they also had done like their research on where they could park. There's one other thing, but I can't remember what it was exactly. That I thought was like, wow, you really looked that up.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail in there, not just from a cost perspective, but also what do other universities do, right? Yes, Jalen.
I like how, yeah, like she said, including the maps of the other two schools, us having only one place to park, like I'm also a commuter student, and I can only park in the Char lot, and I can't even park anywhere in that lot, I can only park in the back corner. And like, that's the reason I got that scooter, so I had to make an investment, I'm a slow walker. So, like I had to make an investment just to get to class on time. I have a bike, I have a scooter, I asked my dad for a moped, so I'm constantly just trying to figure out how I can get to class faster. And throughout the day, there's events like Saadia said, we're athletes, we have to go to study hall and get our hours. There's nowhere for us to park during the day. Like if I need to go to study hall right now, even though it's not a far walk from here, but say I came from my room, which is Crest, there would be nowhere for me to park during the day to get to the study hall other than Char, which is a long walk.
Well,
I thought one thing that was good was when they did their implementation slide, they had 3 different plans. So they had like multiple
Yes.
things. If one thing didn't
How
work out, they could do
professional.
different things. So.
right. So you guys didn't just offer the administrators, here's what you need to do, and this is the only solution. You had different costs, and I wrote that down. What a plus to have a neutral cost, you know, the 10 to 200,000, and then that $8.5 million option. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, that it shows like an initiative they made.
Right, and it really explored the different ways that they could go about it from there. What other things, did they do well, or could they have improved? Kendra, any thoughts? Claire?
Yeah, they're just a little, on the first slide, it was hard to see the logo, cause it was against like the maroon, so I don't know if you can change the color or just like move it somewhere else. Just cause it was like blending in.
The title slide or the second slide?
The title.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's a little heavy there, so you could just lighten that up a little bit, or lighten up the back. One of the things I liked in the graphics, one of the graphics that you did was, this one. So there's different gradations, they use the same code scheme, but they're different gradations, so you can see that they're different, they're not all the same thing. So those little techniques, really smart design, cues that you could pick up from other people's presentations. Anything they might have changed? Any thoughts? Jack, Dean? Yeah.
I guess like could have added some more like statistics, as in like how many people have commuted to school and other things like that. Like one slide with a ton of graphs and all that.
Yeah, so, since you knew that there was that 36%, that probably would be a good setup to have just one slide with, you know, how many students, commute on campus. If you can get it from the parking security desk, how many students have cars on campus, that would also be a good piece of data, because the folks who are here and just driving across campus, you know, a few hundred yards, it's not the same thing as having to walk a few hundred yards, right, to get to class. So, I thought it was well done. Good, kind of support in the Q&A, as well. I kind of threw you that wild card at the end about how would this make you feel more inclusive, and I did that because you brought that into the discussion, right? So, obviously, we want you to feel part of the campus here, Jalen, anybody else who's commuting. But see if you, in your circle, in your personal circle, see if you can get people to, continue to invite you to things and make sure that you do feel included. I know it's hard for me. I had evening meetings last night, and I was all the way over on the side of campus. Haggard was cut off because of the festival of lights, whatever it was. And I was just looking for something to get me right back to my car, but I'm not walking all the way. It's like 30 degrees out. It is a trial, so I do empathize with all of it. Any other thoughts on their presentation?
They should really do this.
They should do it. I was gonna say, how prepared or comfortable would you be sending an email saying, we've worked to put together a presentation or a recommendation to improve parking for commuter students and inclusivity. Put your recommendation in an email and ask if they would give you 15 minutes. I think you should go ahead and do it, right? You would value this, right? And other people would value it as well. And maybe, do you know anybody or does anybody here, you already own part of the Elon News Network, right?
Yeah.
This would be a great news story. So have your meeting, maybe do a little write-up and see if you can garner some support for it. All the recommendations that I've seen are, merit-worthy of being accomplished. So if it's something you want to move forward with, don't be afraid to take that next step. Go with courage. Thank you so much for a great semester. I applaud you all. Thank you, Beth. Okay, and if you presented, just hang back for a few minutes while I get your feedback forms.